Hello and welcome to the special episode of the show. Business development on any level forms an integral part of development in society. Today my guest is Moegsin Harris, and he's going to tell us about a new project that he's developing and something that you may just want to get involved with. Mr. Harris is a seasoned business executive, having spent good years in senior positions in the corporate sectors and in entities of state. He has a passion to train and to develop the skills and talents of entrepreneurs in key areas of business such as strategy planning, governance, economics, performance management, business planning, leadership, and management development. Uncle Moegsin is also a fellow and full member of the South African Institute of Management, Technical Financial Accountant, and a life member of the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers and Accountants in South Africa. Uncle Moegsin, welcome to the program. Sorry, I'm calling you Uncle Moegsin, I noticed.
Thank you.
I think that goes back some time ago.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, it's interesting having you on the program. Welcome. Now, I know that you've built up quite a reputation in the business world in South Africa, having been with various sectors and been there advising various parties and all kinds of things that you do. Tell us a bit about that for starters.
Yes, well, firstly, my life starts with economics, and economics, in essence, is the study of humankind or mankind or whatever you want to call it, of humanity. And it's quite interesting when we talk about economics. But when you go beyond just those words of the study of humanity, you find it all becomes economics as we understand it. And that changes our lives so much. It's about power and about wealth, the creation of wealth. And I said, well, we need to come back to the basics. Maybe we should start realizing that economics, our way of life, the way we do things should really be taking into account how our human environment operates.
Now, going back to Moegsin Harris and the philosophy that you've just mentioned, how does that fit in the leadership and business component of you?
Yes.
Where has that come from? Has it always been innate, or is this something that I know that you've went down the line studying the field?
Yes.
But you've been in the corporate sector also?
Yes.
But it seems to be more than a passion.
It is far more than a passion. I think it's also a belief, and the fact that we just find the more we go into our age, the more we find that society is really going into slumber. And I think those who have taken over the power and wealth are really happy to see people going into that slumber. And I think it is time for us to realize that we have a responsibility towards humanity, towards our environment, towards other economic issues, and really say, where do we start? And I think this is, at least in my life, the beginning of that, of creating something that is worthy to take into account humanity.
Mr. Harris, you mentioning a lot about economics and how that fits into
Yes.
the realm of us ordinary South Africans, if I may call it that. But in the end of the day, I know that before we mention and discuss the issues that we want to discuss with regards to the project that you have coming, you've come back from being in petroleum. You've been in various other sectors. You've
Yes.
been with the SETAs, if I recall.
Yes.
There's been a history with you and being involved with these kinds of things. Tell us a bit about that before we go forward.
Yes. First and foremost, we all respect that we are believing people, or we have a belief. In other words, we are saying that we love the Creator and we love creation. But do we really do that? So when you start your schooling is all about acquiring knowledge.
Now, Mr. Harris, one of the things that, before you go into philosophies especially, and I know you like going into those things, especially around social investment and corporate and that sort of thing, for us to understand your philosophies, we need to understand you, and I always say this to all our guests, that we need to understand the people behind the philosophies and behind what they do. Now, tell us a bit more about yourself in terms of background, education, and some of the organizations that you are involved with and that you belong to?
Well, yes. I've always had a passion for economics, and more particularly for people and development of people, because that comes out of the economics. And the economic system that we tend to follow, we have to follow, is one of not really caring about people. And if you and I need to be successful for now, we need to really understand our human capital or people. And that is the beginning of where I believe we should start. In terms of organizations, so many, and I wouldn't like to isolate one particular one, but primarily it is about skills development. It's about training people. It's about making sure that there is some transformation in the way we think about business. And I think that is where I believe I would like to see myself and perhaps others making some contribution to this whole change in thinking, change in the way we do things, and to be more understanding of the dynamics that if we do not do this kind of thing, of caring about people, of developing skills, of making sure that they are also on board when it comes to the area of economics, then we all will be a failure. It is not about how much money you can make, but rather how many people you can take with you on a road to success.
Do you believe that your philosophies that you are speaking about and you're talking about this development, that it's specified to a certain community, perhaps disadvantaged, or are you referring to all South Africans as we are today?
I refer to everyone. I refer to whether it's male or female, and I obviously have by far more encouragement for females, because in all sectors of our community, the females were always the people that had to stay in the kitchen and look after babies. And I do believe that they also have a role to play in ensuring that the family structures are sufficiently cared for. And that is why I would think in the South African scenario that we look more towards females. But otherwise, it's all sectors. It is non-religious, non-sexist, non-political, and that is what development is all about.
Listening to you on the radio sometimes, I always hear you talking about leadership, and you have a focus on leadership itself. How do you define leadership? Especially within the context of
Yes.
the items that you're mentioning.
Yes. The most important factor of leadership is trust. And obviously, a lot of people will say to you about your attitude. But yes, your attitude brings about trust. If there is impeccable trust in ourselves, you will have trust for others and others will trust you. And we need to focus on that and try to ponder on those kind of words in your knowledge that you've acquired and try to transcend that through your actions or through your heart or whatever. And therefore, if we start from that aspect and from that basis of trust, impeccable, as they may call it, and impeccability, as you know, is almost sinless. When you say impeccable, you really say it's a sinless trust that you are building, and people will understand that if you practice that.
Mr. Harris, we know that you have a very long history in business, economics, development, leadership training, and more, and some social involvement. We know that you have a new project coming up that you want to talk about, and we're going to talk about that just after the break.
Yes.
And so right now we go to an ad break. When we come back, we talk about the new chamber, if you call it that Mr. Harris is about to start.